As climate continues to change all around the world, people will need to adapt and attempt to mitigate the effects it has on our society and cities. A great example is New York City, which has been monitoring changes in climate and making plans on how to prepare for increasingly bad weather. New York City brought together a group of experts with various backgrounds to help advise the city in regards to climate change, what the impacts will be, and how to adapt. They've also put together a $20 billion portfolio being used to help the city become more resilient to climate change in every way they possibly can. Examples of this include design guidelines, which were developed to guide those involved in building development and renovation, with the goal of making buildings and structures more suitable for increased temperature, precipitation, and other natural issues. As the guidelines are relatively new, they have a long way to go before being fully implemented, but it's a step in the correct direction. Another program is working on dealing with the progressively more extreme temperatures, including light-colored roofs, to help reflect heat and to plant more trees throughout the city. The city has also been implementing better utilities, backup power sources, and more energy-efficient systems, alongside flood-proofing and various other things. However, none of these things are cheap and they aren't all realistic. An example of this would be flood-proofing, in the form of a 6-mile-long wall that would take over 20 years and $120 billion to develop. While this one is a seemingly outlandish concept, there are also more practical ones being implemented, notably some of the creative ideas mentioned earlier, and others that are relatively standard when it comes to mitigating the rate at which climate change increases, including cutting emissions. A great example of this would be New York City has been funding energy-efficient projects to remove over 176,000 metric tons of greenhouse gas emission deriving from buildings and vehicles. Since New York is threatened by flooding, higher temperatures, and various other issues, they need to take these precautions, otherwise it will get progressively worse. Communities would be negatively impacted by all of these factors, which is why the adaptations and solutions are so important.